I'm probably being recorded. Where do I want to start? Oh, yeah. Lesson 3. More on babies. Infant baptism. All right. Here we go. This was a big question, actually. We've only had one regular Socrative bell ringer this chapter, and I think 3 people in each class are like, "Why do we baptize babies? Like they can't know Jesus, they can't believe in God, they're not there yet. Why do we put them through a ritual?" And this short lesson is meant to answer that one question. Okay. Um, Now, years past, I would hand out an article right now, but because I didn't want to make a million copies today, I'm just going to describe to you and teach you verbally what I wanted you to learn from this news article. And this news article was a story about how the Baptist Church is beginning in some corners of their church, to baptize younger and younger people. So this is an issue that divides Christians across the board. Many Protestants believe you should not baptize a baby for reasons we'll go over today. Catholics, we believe that you should baptize a baby for these reasons, and you need to know both sides of the debate this class. So let's start outside the Catholic Church, with the Baptist Church, founded by, you can write this down, Mino Simmons. For those of you at home watching virtually, I will try to write as much as I can on the board right here. Yes, Mino Simmons in the 16th century created this is the name. He created the Anabaptist Church, and we would later get rid of the Anna, and we call it the Baptist Church today. So for those of you at home, I'm going to try to write on the board so you see it. Mino Simmons, 16th century, creates the Anabaptist Church. Now, what was going on in the 16th century? Anybody know? Crusades were, I think, a couple centuries earlier. The plague was probably happening, yes, but let's avoid all talk of plagues and pandemics for an hour. Anything else going on? 1500. Well, yeah. What do we call that when the church was? There were schisms, there was heresies, there was great division. We call this time period the Protestant Reformation. So, Mino Simmons is probably in the top 10 of leaders of the Protestant Reformation. Who's number 1? Martin Luther. Very good. So Martin Luther is leading, really spurs the Protestant Reformation. And then came John Calvin, and I'm getting older and older, so I forget a few more names. But Mino Simmons would probably be in the top 10 of the reformers. And his big deal, why he created his own church, as you can tell from this lesson so far, is because he didn't believe that it was right to baptize a baby. It wasn't effective. It didn't mean anything. And he stood by this so stringently that here we go. We have a whole nother church. And over time, they got rid of the Anna. And like I said, now today we call them the Baptist Church. There's a Baptist church not far from us on the other side of St. Genevieve on Willow. I think it's like the First Baptist Church. You go downtown Lafayette, they got a big Baptist church there. It's actually very common in the southern part of America. Any of y'all go up to Alexandria and Monroe, it's Baptist country. You know that. Yeah. It's a world. It's a world of difference between Southern Louisiana and Northern Louisiana. When I take the tennis team to Monroe for the state tournament every year except last year, I'm flipping the radio trying to find some music, and it's like Baptist preacher after Baptist preacher. I couldn't find a Catholic station, but it's good Christian country. But so you know what these churches believe in. I want to educate you ever so slightly on that issue. And there's 2 reasons why. Anybody know? I know of 2 reasons. I believe they're the top 2 reasons why certain Christian churches, Protestant churches, Do not baptize babies. Go. Yeah, that's one way to put it. We Catholics recognize that the faith of the parents has an impact, and the parents should act in that faith and to convey grace to their children. The understanding of that sharing of faith is not as prevalent in Protestant theology, and that leads me to point number 2. That is that Protestants believe that to be baptized is to basically tell the world that you believe in Jesus. That's the nature of baptism. It's your declaration of faith. It's your act of faith. Okay, so for those of you at home, I'm going to erase all that I kind of just put up there, and I'm going to give you visual cues to understand why Protestants believe in baptizing only adults. Number 1 is that baptism is an act of faith. And obviously, a baby cannot have that faith, cannot make an act on its own. Correct, according to the Baptist Church. So therefore, you don't baptize the baby. Number 2 is pretty basic. It's about Jesus. Jesus was baptized as an adult. Jesus was baptized at 30 years old. So they read that in the Gospel of Matthew, and I believe the Gospel of Luke. I could be wrong on that. Maybe Mark. They read that in the Bible. It said Jesus was baptized as an adult. So you know what? We baptize as adults. So this is the understanding of that to follow Jesus is to be baptized when you're at an appropriate age to follow him. These are not dumb reasons by any stretch of the imagination. These are valid points and valid truths. I think that's all I want to teach you about. Any questions about the Baptist belief? So 1 and 2 you're prepared for on a short answer question. If I ask you for the top 2 reasons Baptists baptize only adults, you now know why. Catholics, in my research and my study, have 3 clear reasons as to why we baptize infants. Number 1 is because baptism replaces circumcision in the Old Testament. Who knows how old a baby boy was when they got circumcised? 3 years old, right after birth, but there was a specific number. 2 years old? Nope. What was that? You got the number right. It's 8 days. So God asked that all Jewish boys be circumcised 8 days. This is a stringent, very important Jewish law. 8-day-old boys are to be circumcised. Snip, snip. Bye-bye, foreskin. Abraham rolling over his grave saying, I had to do it well into my 90s, Y'all got it easy. You don't even remember it. So this was a very important Jewish law. For our purposes today, this simply shows how God, our God, the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament, is okay with us consecrating babies, with us passing on the faith to the babies. A lot of people nowadays have issue with that. Don't impose something on your kid. But the nature of faith is if you believe God is a certain way and you believe the truth is the truth, to deprive your child of that is a great injustice to that child. Okay? So well, okay, Mr. Peo, that was in the Old Testament, but how do you know that that transfers to the New Testament? Well, you don't necessarily have to write this down, but this is a Bible quote from St. Paul saying that in Christ, you were circumcised with a circumcision not administered by hand. So this is you. Every Christian is circumcised, but not of the flesh, stripping off of the carnal body, the foreskin of the boy. With the circumcision of Christ, you were buried with him in baptism, in which you were also raised with him through faith in the power of God who raised him from the dead. So the emphasis from St. Paul is clear here. No longer is there a circumcision of the flesh, but there is a baptism, and baptism replaces that. It's also awesome that it's gender neutral. Guys and girls can both be consecrated to God, renewed, and go through the same exact process, which is a great thing. So, to any Protestant that says, the child's not able to receive it, as a Catholic, we say, well, they couldn't receive an 8-day-old baby in the Old Testament couldn't receive circumcision or process it or agree with it either. But nevertheless, God expects us to pass on the faith from the earliest of days to our children. That's number one. Number two is the most complex, and I also believe the most important reason. Okay, so be ready for number two. And my clicker just stops working. First off, look at that picture. That's a good one. Look at those cheeks. Look at these, like, bring on the Jesus. You know, gotta baptize those cheeks. They're so big. Baptism, the essence of baptism. What is baptism about? It's not actually, from a Catholic standpoint, it's not us choosing God. It's not us telling the world that we believe in Jesus. When you're baptized as an adult, yes, that message is sent, but that's not the core of the sacrament. It is about God choosing you. There is nothing an infant does for salvation, but salvation is offered to this child nevertheless. So the emphasis here is that, and this is why me teaching you a whole chapter on the sacraments, chapter 1, and how they work was important. Because if you understand that the sacraments are efficacious, that they convey grace, and you believe that as a Catholic, why would you deny that to your baby? Why would you deny that grace to your child? When you understand that just by the form and the matter and the sacrament being performed, that baby gets something, shame on us if we don't give it to that baby. That is just unfair. Now, the Protestant churches, not all of them, the Protestant churches and the Baptist church, they don't believe that. They don't believe that the grace is offered and can be communicated to a baby's soul. So they simply believe something different, of which they are entitled to. That being said, we Catholics, we understand how these, in our sacramental theology, teaching, and history, we understand that they convey a grace. Now, here comes another long catechism paragraph. You don't need to write it down. It's just reiterating that you understand this point number 2. Saying of babies born with a fallen human nature and tainted by original sin, children also have need of the new birth and baptism, to be freed from the power of darkness and brought into the realm of the freedom of the children of God, to which all men are called. Here's the word of the day: gratuitousness of the grace of salvation is particularly manifest in infant baptism. So the generosity of God, the great gift of God, is evident when you baptize a baby. So I mean, going back to the best picture you're going to see all day right here. We see in this picture that the baby's clearly not at work. The baby's not responsible for anything happening, but that is the Christian God. He does the work. He gives the grace. He offers salvation, even without us doing anything. Now that baby's going to have to follow as it gets older and older. Y'all are at an age right now where you have to, yes, freely choose God. But here's the kicker. If we don't baptize babies, they're going to be less likely to choose God later on. And there's studies that show and this is part of the reason why the Baptist Church is starting to baptize at a younger age, because when you baptize somebody at a younger age, we're finding out that they just stay around longer for whatever reason. From a Catholic standpoint, it should happen sooner, and that's what I'm describing. Yeah. So the question on the floor is: you're not supposed to be baptized as an adult. You want to be baptized when you believe in Jesus Christ. You want to be baptized ASAP, really. But for Catholics, for these reasons, we believe it's okay to baptize a baby who cannot intellectually know Jesus. They can still receive graces, so we offer it to them ASAP, and we hope that they grow up because of that baptism into Jesus, loving Jesus. Don't underestimate a baby. It's a human soul made in the image and likeness of God. It can't fathom it. At best, it knows its mom. And apparently, in baby psychology, a baby actually thinks it's attached to the mom for about 8 or 9 months out post birth. So it takes a while for the baby to even realize that it's a separate person. It's fascinating. I'm speaking, of course, as a father too. So don't underestimate the fact that this baby can have grace and can grow up in Jesus Christ. I've got a 3-year-old son that plays mass about 5 times a day. No joke. And my job is to ring the bells. Ding, ding, ding. Daddy, bells. Ding, ding. He sings multiple Christian hymns, sings the Hail Mary before he goes to bed. He's 3. He just turned 3. Is he a saint? No. But God can work. And we believe that God can work, and so we offer that through baptism. All right, that's the most important one. If you understand how the sacraments work, you understand that why we baptize babies. Now, for those of you at home, you missed the bell ringer from today, which is from Acts chapter 16. But somebody here in the very brilliant period 5 hour is going to tell me what happens when somebody converts in Acts chapter 16. Ava. Okay, yeah, you're taking it a step further. But after they themselves get baptized, the apostles are like, all right, now bring us to your home. We're going to baptize your home. This is a family affair. If the leader of the house, mom or dad, converts to Christianity, the understanding is you pass this on to your kids. And so what we read in Acts chapter 16 is that the apostles went to their homes and baptized entire households. Now, does it say they baptized the babies too? No, but it doesn't say they didn't. It simply says everybody in the house, and we can assume that implied the babies. So reason number 3 is not too complex. It's basically because the apostles, we have reason to believe the apostles baptized babies because they baptized an entire household. All right. Just be aware. This is your first, I think, list of 3 things for the year. You're going to see more and more of these, and it's a very common. Whenever you see 3 reasons for something, you can count on that being a short answer question. Give me the 3 reasons that Catholics baptize babies. In summary, number 1, because it replaces circumcision of the Old Testament. Number 2 is because God is capable of giving graces freely to the babies. And number 3, is we have reason to believe that the apostles didn't, so we carry on their tradition. That's all I have to teach on today. Questions, thoughts, and concerns. Lesson 4, especially for you virtual students, will not be recorded. Lesson 4, we're going to go to the chapel. We're going to role play, and we're going to walk through a baptism. I'm going to probably just post the notes, and you have to know all the symbolisms of the baptismal rite. So we'll have a little bit of fun with it, but I will be giving everybody the notes for lesson 4, and that'll be happening next class. So enjoy that. Question? Oh yes, Father Tyrek will be leading us in the ceremonies next class. I will see you there.